Elazer and Lambo saw us off in the grand final of the WardiTV Let's Get Our Archon tournament. This is a best of 7. It is going to be Elazer and Lambo in the top right of Jack and Natha, their map pick for map 1. In the bottom left, they'll get map 2 map pick. It is Kelazhur and souL. Not the Beyond Mario Archon that everyone was expecting to see. And again, number 1 of this series, and look to see just what's going to be happening. There's a couple of drones coming through, refinery coming up on the main base. I'm just going to be seeing the barracks will drop down at the front here as well. So Axe will drop down the front, hatchery coming up on the natural. As we get this on the way, ready to go. Just looking to see what's going to be coming up in the next few moments. Overlord just moving around. They've been very careful, Elazer and Lambo so far, trying to just check for proxy racks a lot of the time. So they've really made sure to kind of check around, really look around to see what's going on. Really looking for a lot of information early game. They've really prioritized that over getting the Overlords across the map and into position to scout the main base and so on. Reaper is going to make its way across as Kelazhur and souL come up to the upper right-hand side. So it's going to make their way through. As the few Lings are going to be here, and the Reaper and Lings are going to go up against each other. So a little bit of a fight starts out, and we do have the Ling speed already building. The drone pops out, and Ling's backing away a little bit. Drone actually going to go down, isn't it? So Kelazhur on the control here is going to find himself a drone kill with the Reaper to begin with. Not a bad start at all. I'll follow up right now as we see a grenade going down. Creep team are going to take a bit more damage, and the Reaper are going to get pushed away through the top side. We have our starport coming up from Kelazhur and souL in the main base, and it's double gas, so no 3cc to get us started. Is going to be something a bit more on the aggressive side of things here from our Terran players. At the front, going to drop a grenade. Is going to get rid of the creep human. The queen is here as well to kind of keep the Reaper and Hellion squad away. A couple of extra queens on the way out, and yeah, just everything we kind of expect. The medevac's kind of intriguing. Sometimes medevac really suggests an armory and going into hellbats, but I don't think that's what we're lining up for. I think it's just the possibility of dropping a few Hellions into toward a main base. And, yeah, just being a little bit more aggressive with these Hellions than you might usually be, so that seems to be the plan. I mean, the Overlord here, I think, just glimpsed the medevac moving across, so I would be kind of surprised if Elazer and Lambo weren't recognizing that. Maybe it didn't quite see it, actually. It was just out of vision. Obviously clicked late. I mean, this Overlord, we'll see it flying in now. And yeah, it seems like that's only just now going to be a realization of what's going on. So it's a little bit scary. Couple drones going down. The Lings do get around the back, but of course you can't surround this because the medevac will just lift up and get away. So that's going to be the end of that for the moment. As you see, a couple of pings around the left-hand side. Still some Hellions and a Reaper in the upper left corner. And these Hellions over here trying to get through as well, trying to jump in on top of these Lings. Again, just trying to control a couple different sides and Again, this is some of the activity you get in Archon mode, which is a little bit more extreme than usual. souL is now controlling these Hellions while Kelazhur controls this drop. And they do have an armory up, so they're going to turn this into a Hellbat attack in the end. souL taking the Hellions into the natural expansion now, so this is going to be the extra bit of aggression. And honestly, Elazer and Lambo not really ready for it. A lot of drones starting to go down. Hellions will go for a few more drone kills in the natural. The Hellbat's still up in the main base. I mean, this just transitioned into something which these guys were not ready for in the slightest. Liberator is siege and is going to get rid of a queen. Make that happen in a moment or two. Another queen is going to go down. So 2 queens killed here. The Hellbat's going to turn around and push back these queens as well. All looking good in that regard. What a fantastic start here from the Terran players as they get a good cleanup. Things are going to run out down the south. A few extra racks coming in. 1 more upgrades coming in on the engineering base as well. The stim will finish up in a few moments. Just going to be seeing more drones continuing out. Extractors coming up on the natural expansion as well. We still see a little bit more creep just pushing out through the center. So recovery time from the Zergs, as we see them obviously just redroning, getting up to 60. The thing is, you did all of this pressure as Kelazhur and souL without really going too offbeat with the build. The only thing that really has happened here is the fact that obviously the third CC is the third CC is not kind of built right away, right? It's built a little bit later on. I'm not sure what Kelazhur was asking about. I think just because these lings were running at the wall off with the Marines. Yeah, these guys are all pretty good friends, right? So you gotta expect a bit of banter maybe throughout the games as well. Will load up and medevacs will start to move across to the upper right hand side. So away we go, and going for a bit of a pushover. Whoa, 2 lings actually got on top of a tank, but that will never actually win this fight. More Marines up the top going to jump in. This Overlord going to go down. And you see the rest of the Marines coming out the front as well. Queens, Lings, Veins coming forward and just going to start pushing through this. Marines going to lift up and now they're going to drop in toward the main base. So into the main base they go. Close up the drop, of course. Expected to see that load up when you're playing Archon mode. One guy's kind of just watching that the entire time, right? So far so good. Elazer Lambo against supply block is now souL and Kelazhur bringing more units across the map. And this is just a huge army supply advantage. I mean, advantages from earlier really starting to kick into play. That's what happens when you lose those drones initially. The Terrans get that little bit of a kickstart to the game and they can really get just that much extra on the map and going for themselves early on. And that is where we currently stand. He's pulling back a little bit. Feelings going down here and still just having the army of Kelazhur and souL out in the center, trying to move around a little bit more. 42 Lings still on their way out in production. Tank's going to siege up, and well, the Banelands backed away from that in plenty of times. So they don't worry themselves with that one too much. Marines load up into the medevacs. Did you see the rest of this moving into the middle still? This Marine's going to unload and go in after the Overlords. The Overlord will go down. All of these Marines continue to move across the map. A little bit of pinging around us. I think Kelazhur or souL saying, hey, maybe we should hit this top left-hand side base. They've got Elazer and Lambo in a bit of a chokehold anyway, right? I mean, they are continuing to push forward. The supply blocked at the moment. They've got tanks in range, and the 4th base coming up behind it. They're looking pretty good on the other side of the map, too. Looks like Lambo and Elazer are going to come in for the surround and try and make this happen. I mean, it's off creep, so Marines have room to split, and the bottom side army didn't really do anything. Now the topside armies arrive in what seems like too late because it took a while to get through the tanks. And so the Marine count is still very high here, continuing to press forward. And these Queens getting picked away at. The Lings and Hydra's in trouble. Lambo is out. Elazer is out. Kelazhur and souL are going to pick up game 1. And they pick it up on Elazer and Lambo's map pick. So even better for them. Gives them a little bit of an extra. Best of 7 game number 2. From the Zerg map to the Terra map, I mean, in the best of 7, there's no vetoes. So we actually start to see Jagannatha and Submarine as the first maps because those are the maps that each team typically vetoes. Hence, it's the maps which the other team would choose first because they are the best maps of the race. Jagannatha, commonly known as a very strong map for Zerg. Submarine, the same for Terran players. So Lambo and Elazer, some work to do here if they want to bounce back to tie things up. They are the pink Zerg Archon in the top left corner. The blue Terran Archon in the bottom right corner. Kelazhur and souL, as they will look to come back into play here also. See what they can bring to the table. Again, Submarine, one of the more aggressive maps here, you would imagine. Intrigued to see what will come out of this. Spawn pool going to be coming up here in just a few moments' time. And be finishing as the Reaper is about to finish up in the main base. Again, that Reaper completed. Marine on the way. And out we go. Kelazhur and souL off and away across to the upper left-hand side of the map now. And typically souL the one that builds, while Kelazhur is the one that controls, and that seems to be the case here. Kelazhur holding this Reaper right now, pushing in, and Ling's already taking just a little bit of damage. The Roach run building from Elazer and Lambo, so they're looking to pull off a bit of an all-in here. It kind of reminds me of when souL Reynor played Archon against Clement Marine Lord in the O-Gaming event a few weeks back. And on Submarine, they played a really cool game number 1, and then game number 2, souL and Reynor just said, right, cool, we're just going to do this build and build Roaches and just try and win quickly on Submarine. I mean, that's just because Submarine is a very Terran-favored map. You know, it's not a bad thing to mix in some cheese. You've obviously got to be good with your defense while cheesing. Or being cheesed, because otherwise you're going to be... you know, the Archons can definitely mess it up, right? You've got to make sure one guy knows, right, this is how we're going to defend it. Or you got to be in sync. How are we going to defend this? Right, okay. And then one guy really has to be like, right, I'm going to, you know, make the defense happen. You just keep giving me units, right? So yes, this doesn't really test the Archon ability of Elazer and Lambo much. What it does do is perhaps, though, give you a chance here to kind of, you know, I think what souL and Reynor said was that one guy, I think Reynor did the build, and souL really just made sure he tried to deny the scouting for as long as possible. That kind of happened here as well. Lambo denied the scouting as long as possible. Now Elazer coming through with the Roaches. Pushing down toward the bottom right-hand side. Hellions showing up, a third hatch building away there, and just going to be seeing our Roaches coming through. No bunker or anything at the front, but we are well on the way to the first Banshee, which will help to defend this as the Roaches move up the ramp. Hellions are going to counterattack, not really a defense here, and they're not going to get up the ramp in time. So there's going to be drones starting to drop over here on this side. The Banshee shows up, the Marines are in the bunker. I actually don't think you do that much here as the Zergs, and they don't even get rid of the Hellions. That's amazing. The Hellions staying alive means that now you have got Hellions which can still dive around, hit a mineral line, keep control of the creep spread. It's an 8-worker lead for Lambo and Elazer. They lost 8 drones, They only killed 10 SCVs, and look at the cost. 8 Roaches and a Ravager? Delaying the third base to do this? Yeah. That's obviously problematic, and now you're going to have to defend against Cloaked Banshees. Well, that's a cost in itself, just building the Spore Crawlers. So you're already going to have to commit into Spores. And then we'll see if the Banshees can do damage anyway, because we know how good Banshees can be when controlled properly. They can absolutely open some opportunities and open some chances for them to get good damage done. Good defense from the Terrans. Hellions repaired, joined up with a couple more friends. And away we go across the map. Lings are building. There is Ling speed, of course, in place, so Lings building to try and make sure they can surround, run around these Hellions if necessary at any point. And just coming around the top, so they're heading into the main base in the next moment or two. Fence coming through, and they grab a couple of drones already. Is now going to see another drone being picked off, make that 4 drones. Yeah, not a bad start at all for the Banshees, which are still full of HP as well, so they've got a lot of micro potential left in them. At the same time, the Hellions just dancing around. Kelazhur controlling the Hellions, souL controlling the Banshees, so they're already splitting up the micro. You take these units, I'll take these units. And just using, their, both to their kind of full ability, controlling one set of units. One guy obviously has to macro back at home still, but again, being able to focus on just one set of units in macroing is much easier than 2 sets of units in macroing. I like what the Banshees have done. We're only about 4 or 5 more kills, but still generally enough to really look at this as good damage being done so far. Finally coming up on the natural expansion. We're not really looking much on the Terran side of things, but they are fine. They're just producing and getting their units up and running. The stem is done. The first medevac's coming out. Might start to see a little bit of aggression on the way from the Terrans, and aggression that might be tough to deal with, because there's going to be some of these fights that will happen before 1-1 is done, but also before Bane speed is done. So we're going to have quite a while here where the Terrans can find a few ways to attack and maybe just take advantage of the early game lead that they found with the defense. Hellions trying to move up that ramp again, but no luck there. The Lings do make their way into the natural expansion. Coming in towards a few of these SCVs. A couple of Lings already picked off as the Hellions and Reaper coming up to the top side. The Lings going to go over to the right. Again, the Marine tank army already pressing forward here, and the Lings are going to get caught by a few of these Hellions. Everything else showing up and shutting this down. Now these Marines in the front are going to be able to get rid of a few more of these Lings as well. Lings continue to come through. Marines still in a bit of trouble. Okay, I mean, the run by is nice, don't get me wrong, but you've got 3 tanks here that you've got to fight with slow Banes. I mean, you need this run by to do a lot, but then there's Hellions here, actually. The Hellions are great at clearing up Lings, of course. One of the best ways to defend a run by is with Hellions, and the Hellions might end up going down, but they've cleaned the Lings up in the process. I mean, a lot of them survive low HP. These Banes just don't have speed, and again, without 1-1 against 1-1, this is just not a fight you're really meant to win here as the Zerg players. Going to be seeing this Marine force continuing forward. These Queens continuing to go down. Lings popping out, they're going down as well. This is going to be a full cleanup as the other Lings are continuing to drop. souL and Kelazhur going to take a 2-0 lead. They deliver on the Terran map pick, and they lead 2-0 now in this best of 7 finals. Into Lightshade we go. Top left-hand side, the pink Zergs, Elazer and Lambo. Down 0-2 is absolutely not where they want to be. I'm sure they'll be working hard to try and dig themselves out of this hole. In the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we do have the Blue Terran. Blue Terran Archon, Kelazhur, and souL. Yes, guys, this is best of 7 grand finals. Just to reiterate again, just make sure everyone knows what's up. So best of 7 grand finals here today. To get this started underway. I'm looking to figure out what's going to happen. It is obviously one of the Zerg picks against this. Definitely gone Lambo. Elazer pick Jagannatha. Kelazhur souL pick Submarine. Elazer Lambo pick Lightshade. I don't know what map 4 is, but probably going to be one of the Terran picks again. But yeah, obviously 2-0 elites. Now you don't just have to win your own map picks as Elazer and Lambo. You have to win your opponent's map picks as well. So the ideal scenario would be to win the next 2 maps straight, get to 2-2, and play it from there. Is there a German taxi variant for ZvT yet? There was a couple builds in ZvT that involved like Queen drop, like Queen Ling all in, or Queen Roach all in, but it doesn't really. It's not really like reactionary. Like the German taxi is reactionary to it being triple Stargate or something, right? And Void Ray heavy opening. It's not really. There's nothing you can really reactionary kind of Queen drop against. Maybe like a Banshee setup. If you go for like a Roach all in and you bring Queens across and a Queen drop, then obviously that's powerful because then the Banshees aren't as good defensively. So, kind of. It's not going to be the exact same build. And it's been a thing for kind of a while as well, I guess. Not seen all the time, not seen extremely often, but still something I could say, like, you know, I have seen that happen in the last few months at least once or twice, right? Did I just slow down this game? I feel like I just hit the button wrong, guys. 1 second. Sorry, I feel like I just accidentally hit the side of my keyboard and clipped the slow down time key. So apologies for that. I just wanted to make sure we got it fixed before we resumed. Well, Reaper keeps on moving around, and again, the link speed coming up. Going to be finished fairly shortly as the Queen production continues. It's going to be 3cc this time around from the Terrans, so something a little bit different from them. It's been a very 2-gas heavy set of openings up until now, so changing up a little bit here with this 3rd CC. Going a little bit of a different way around it this time around. Maybe we'll hop up into the main base and a little attempt to see what's going on. Grenade placed and just going to pop the drones. Again, obviously not really potential to kill here, but slowing drones from mining, anything like that is obviously going to be a good little setup. Trying to Hellion up to the top. We do have our lair and our Baneling that's coming through. They've really been quite committed to this earlier lair, especially in the previous series as well. I like it against the Banshees. I mean, when you go early lair against the Banshees, you get the Overseers up, and with the Overseers up, you can, of course, just defend against these Banshees much more easily than without. So looking good in that regard so far. The Hellions do come forward with the Reaper, and just going to see the Queen's going to be kept back for the moment as well. I get a little bit of back and forth here so far. Extra Hellions are on the way. Where is the first Banshee actually going to be at? It's actually in the main base. The first Banshee is just waiting for support of a second Banshee before moving across the map. So they're hoping to really keep this Banshee play hidden for as long as possible. And then showing up and really striking well with it. And I like it, right? You're keeping it mixed up, you're keeping it different, you're keeping things going a few different ways. It's definitely a good direction to go in. Elazer here and putting some damage out. The creep team are going to get grenaded, so it will go down. Here come the Banshees. Already cloaked up. They're actually just going to hit the 4th base. Don't know if creep team here. I mean, this isn't a terrible idea if you get the cancel. There is spores elsewhere, so I mean, it's not like you were just going to show up onto the natural expansion and kill like a bunch of workers because there's no spore ready. You know, the damage you will get on the natural is damage you will do at any point, right? Whether you show up earlier or later. So, nice to get the 4th base cancelled already. Slowing that down. And making it take just a little longer for the Zergs to get set up properly here in this game. And just move down the left. We do see some other Hellions into the center. Gonna get rid of a couple creep teamers. Using the rocks to kill creep teamers. That's nice. There's still one left over, unfortunately, but otherwise, good little moment from Kelazhur and souL. Now we're looking at a lot of the Terran units here, but the Zerg units haven't done much. We are about to have that Spire coming into fruition with the Mutalisks about to pop out, so some meter pressure to join on the map here very soon, but they might have to defend initially. These first Marines already making their way forward into the top side. Looks like this absolutely has to be a defense initially for the Mutas, but well, maybe not actually. I mean, the Marines already forced to lift. The Hellions showed up too. I mean, if the Hellions and Marines go together, then yeah, I think you might have needed the Mutas here. As it stands, the Mutas showing up. No turret in the main, so maybe this is the opportunity to get some damage done. Gets Queen over on this side. Just show up. Not really much killed. A couple of SCVs so far. He's going to turn back around. The thing is, it's only 6 minutes. It's not like they even kill workers all that quickly, right? It's part of the problem. Reinforcement Terran units coming across the map. And this army supply of the Terrans has just kind of exploded once again. 93 to 58. We've seen it a lot in this series so far that the Terrans are just getting ahead on supply early and just pushing through with an army to win it out. Seems to be happening once again right now too. Bane's crashing, a few Marines going down. We do just have the other Marines out over here. Ling Bane Muta will have to back away. Continuing through, the Queen's taking a bit more damage. Tanks are there, and the Ling Bane getting picked away at. The Marines on the bottom side gonna have to pull back as well. More Marines on the top are having to split back, and it looks like it's the Lambo and Elazer cleanup, but they lose the 4th base in the process. You just can't keep losing the 4th base. Every time you lose the 4th base, the game just becomes way trickier for you. And now already reinforcements through the center. They're killing Overlords, so they're getting Elazer and Lambo very close to being supply blocked as well. It's up in the main, get cleaned out. So at least that is handled before any other pressure shows up now. Come on, Marines unloading, and still just watching Elazer and Lambo trying to fight for 4th base. The problem is this base would be the better base to have. It's got a little bit of creep out in front of it. At least this base has no creep out in front of it right now. They're just going to double expand. They don't really have much of a choice, I guess. They'll just double expand and take whichever base they can get. And I still feel like the Muta count's just never really been high enough to properly be aggressive. A few Marines are going to be left here. That's the cancel on this hatch. So we'll settle for the hatch on the left side instead. souL and Kelazhur, though, they're not going to give up this position. They're going to stick around here. I feel like oftentimes in this kind of situation, you would, yeah, I feel like often in this situation, you would kind of give up on the push already, but this time souL and Kelazhur just want to keep on going. I don't think it's a bad call. They've just hit 2-2 upgrades as well, so they're now 2-2 against 1-1. pushing onto this top side. They're killing off meters at a rapid pace, and Elazer and Lambo continue to just fall apart a bit. A few meters down here don't really do enough. SCVs pulled away and survived, so they're all in the natural. They can come back out to the third. And they're just really good so far. Now going to pull the Marines away, and the Lings and Banes continuing forward. Marines continue to run. One of the medevacs that filled up with units do get picked off, but again, it's just the numbers game. The numbers just are not there for the Zerg players. And as the attack now comes to the left-hand side, Lings will try and run in on top of this. Marines will pull up into the medevacs. Wouldn't mind shot is good onto a few of those units. Now more Marines showing up. Extractor going down, drone going down, the Lings coming in. Marines gonna get behind this mineral line, just fighting against a lot of the Lings. Bane's target fire down. These Marines just gonna sit here. All of these Lings continue to drop. That's GG called from Lambo. That's GG from Elazer. Kelazhur and souL take it up to match point already. 3-0 lead. Oh dear. 3-0 in the lead. It's match point for them. They're the Blue Terran Archon bottom left win this, and they're the Archon champs. In case you're wondering what's on the line, they are looking for $750 first place prize. And right now on track for a second place finish for $350. Lambo and Elazer in the upper right hand corner. And we pay out up to top 8 in this event, so $150 for 3rd/4th, $75 for 5th through 8th. And that's obviously each of those positions. Split between the two players then, obviously, so if you get 5th through 8th and you get $75, it's split between two players, $37.50 each or so, if they split it evenly. We wanted to make sure it paid out to the top 8, so it was obviously we had like a kind of an upper limit price pool, and it was initially meant to be $1,500, but we boosted it by a couple $100 more, just to be able to pay out to the top 8 teams, just to give them something for making it to the playoffs and to, for having to play a second day. It's generally one of the rules we're trying to stand by. If you have to play 2 days of a tournament, you're going to make the prize money, is generally the plan. With the idea being that if you win, if you basically get out of groups, you're already in the prize money for showing up for the playoffs, which is generally the game plan. I feel like it's fair, right? If you show up and you don't win on day 1, don't get money, it's not the end of the world. But if you show up to day number 2, it'd be nice if you actually made sure you're getting paid, right? So that's the rule we stick by for most of our events when possible. Sometimes I wonder if they would do better if they were alone. I don't think so. I think especially these teams seem very... we discussed this with Bjorn and Maru earlier, right? But I think these teams all seem very well coordinated. And if they're well coordinated, I think it's just apparent there's a lot of stuff going on. And all of that stuff would really... it is really just difficult to handle if you're just one person. I guess the argument comes down to then later in the game, maybe. Where maybe teams are like a little bit more out of sync on how they approach the later stages of the game and stuff. I'm actually a genuine believer that as long as you have pretty good communication and you can really discuss well as to who's taking what and you don't get in each other's way that much on controlling units, that it's almost always going to be beneficial to be 2 people in these scenarios instead of 1. Because even, you can basically just say, because, I mean, even look at it this way, you can just let one guy play his game, but the second guy can just take 2 medevacs of Marines at any point in time, right? And you're basically just one guy playing your game and the other guy has 16 Marines on the map. That's instantly going to make you better as a combo, even if it's just the other guy doing everything else, right? It's just finding the right balance of how much of the jobs, or how many of the jobs do you split up, how many of the jobs do you just keep going. And I think it makes a big difference. I even think stuff like this, right? The Reaper being able to constantly be on the map, constantly be paid attention to. There's never the moment where the Reaper has to pull away and take a moment to be like, oh crap, I need to go and hide the Reaper, macro, build a couple things, come back, right? You never have to deal with that sort of stuff in this scenario. has not been a pretty series from Elazer and Lambo. It feels like they're struggling to really get settled into each of the games so far. You know, each game has been a little bit challenging for them. They've not really gotten into that comfort zone, which they've really excelled in other games of this. Reaper and Hellions back down the center. Gonna move around a little bit, decide where they want to go. Didn't really pick anywhere just yet. Aliens still kind of settling at the front. The Banshee going to come around the top side and try to make its way into the top base. Banshee shows up. First Banshee of the game. Gets 3 drones. Don't wait for 2 Banshees this time like they did last time around. A little bit of a different approach here. I think because the tech lab was seen, I think they were maybe scouted. So just using the Hellions or the Banshee sorry, right from the get-go. The Hellions do show up. Now the Banshee putting some damage out on the Queens, but then they also find drones transferring between bases, so that's a free kill. Now these Queens are still in trouble, right? I mean, Hellions doing good to bring them low, then the Banshee's finishing them off. Looks up the other Banshees. The Overseer's on the way, just not ready yet. Queen count is dropping like crazy. Every Queen that goes down means even less to defend the Banshees with and the follow-up from this, right? So let's finally get rid of one of the Banshees at least. The Hellions are still killed off all the Lings. Now you're going to have Hellions running up into the natural. This Queen over here is very low HP. 1 drone already going down. The other Hellions moving around. Another drone drops. 3 drones, 4, 5 drones. Now lining up for another couple drones up the top side. 6. Okay, not super crazy, but what is amazing is just how many Queens you've killed. 6 Queens already going down. The Banshee up on the top, backing away as well. Pulling away through this top side now. It's running back over the left. Marines will get turned around. And the Lings are looking for the counters, but so far Kelazhur and souL are just not leaving any openings. And what's scary about this position from Elazer and Lambo is that these Terrans have shown that once they get a little bit of a lead, once they get a little bit of an advantage, they just don't let it go. They really push that advantage through and through until they get to the checkered flag, basically. They have been very good at kind of taking the lead and keeping the lead. From the ZvT series earlier against Bjornamaru to this matchup as well, for sure. Let's come forward here, and we do start to push in. A bunch of Banes go down. It's not even a single Baneling getting online, and I mean, 1-1's about to kick in too. So now you're going to be fighting these Marines with worse upgrades on your side as well. So it's getting even worse for you. As the Zerg players. Now the Banshee shows up. Marine's going to come around this bottom side, and they're just going to keep on fighting, and GG well played going to be called. This was a little bit of a lackluster finals.